Oh man, just wanted to share my thoughts. Recently had the opportunity to go and drive the Formula DXB car around the Dubai Autodrome, the club circuit specifically. Got this opportunity through a company called P1. They are... Yep, there it is. There's me stalling the car. Anyways, as I was saying, the company is called P1. They had a sim racing tournament over Ramadan of 2022, and placing third got me into the seat of a Formula DXB car, which I'm very thankful for, very grateful for. But yes, here's me just leaving the pit lane. Formula DXB, I believe this is on the Formula 4 chassis, the Tatus Formula 4 chassis. Not the newest one, because it doesn't have the halo, but couldn't be older than 2018, 2019, something like that. But yeah, here's just me leaving the pits, going through the installation lap / formation lap, just getting a feel for the car, getting a feel for the brakes, the gear shifts, things like that. Also, something to mention is that the gearbox is a sequential gearbox, but it's a sequential lever gearbox, not a flappy paddle gearbox, which was quite surprising. I guess it sort of mimics something more of like I guess you could say a rally gearbox, and that's something that would be closer to. And here you can see on the right the red cone. That's where they told us to brake. But it does end up being quite early, so I will be braking quite a bit later than that. On the straight, it was full speed. The helmet was flying off because of the vacuum that's created behind the head, which was interesting because you're trying to go as fast as you can, but your helmet was trying to fly off as well. So that was an interesting sensation. And here to the right, just a few of the other cars in the session pitting to rearrange the order. I believe what they're trying to do is keep the fastest cars in the front of the pack and the slowest cars at the back, just so no one's holding each other up. Yours truly obviously being on the front of the pack. Actually the pace car is driven by a lovely guy named Eduardo. Really cool guy, also professional racing driver, or I guess you could say now ex-professional racing driver. Still a young guy. I'm sure if the stars align, he could go back. But I believe he was, an F1 prospect as well. So he's quite experienced. But yeah, here's me, kind of taking turn 2, turn 3. The chicane ended up being quite difficult in this car because the tires are quite old. Yeah, we're just skipping a couple of laps here. Just a couple of installation laps being held up by traffic and things like that. So here I am braking, shifting down, and here you could see just the tiniest bit of correction, like oversteer correction. I just felt the rear a little, it was quite light, turn 1, and here is me, just horrible understeer at even the lowest speeds. You can see I'm almost hitting the cones. The car just doesn't want to turn in. And also this chicane, it's extremely uphill, and I felt very unconfident in this car around that chicane particularly. Still here we're just taking things quite slowly, and I think on the straight is where we're gonna quite I think the final turn here he's gonna accelerate quite aggressively. Yeah, there he goes. I'm just gonna take this corner at kind of semi-full speed and accelerate fully into the straight, the back straight. Very cool to kind of bang through the gears at the rev limiter. Still have to hit the clutch for every upshift, which is interesting, but yeah, a slow car on the right being paced by BMW as well. But here I am braking, 2 gears down into third, and you can see a big oversteer moment. It was really surprising to feel how much muscle memory and instincts got transferred over. And here, oh my god, the horrible understeer. And you don't really have a chance because it will go from oversteer to understeer back to oversteer at quite random moments. I guess that's due to, you know, the tires not being fully warm, the tires being quite old, and also just me not having any experience because I've never driven a car with downforce before of any kind. In this car, even though yes, compared to Formula 3, Formula 2, the downforce, oh, and look at the understeer, yikes, avoiding the apex like the plague. But yeah, the understeer on this car, or the aerodynamics, the downforce on this car is, you could feel it, but it wasn't you know, an insane amount. But yeah, as I was saying, the muscle memory that gets transferred, and you'll see it again here. I just have a horrible oversteer moment as I was trying to downshift and I was fumbling the gears. At the time in the car, I didn't feel like it was that dramatic. I feel like I caught it and, you know, I could just keep driving, but looking back at the footage, it was an insane oversteer moment. And again, the understeer at the chicane, just avoiding the apex like the plague again. And here, the car felt very light, very twitchy around the slower chicane, the slower uphill chicane. But yeah, the parts that I wasn't quite prepared for was the heat, because it was quite hot outside. We're doing this in the beginning of July. Even though this was a morning session, this is around 10:30, 11 a.m. I would say. Still very hot. I wasn't ready for the G-forces because, you know, coming from a sim racing kind of point of view, all I get is visual feedback and maybe a little bit of feedback through the force feedback in the steering wheel. And but yeah, the G-force was kind of crazy to feel, and the sound is just deafening. The wind and the engine noise are very loud, and you will not be able to hear anything else. I was surprised that I could hear the other cars around me. So for example, when I passed those lap cars, those slow cars, I was able to hear them. So, you know, even though you can't quite see behind you, because obviously you don't have a central mirror, and the side mirrors, really, I don't know if I set them up wrong, but they didn't do anything to help me see behind me. But you could still tell quite accurately where the cars are around you because you could hear their engines. But yeah, again, final corner, understeer, couldn't find the correct line, the correct braking point, just because of how, I don't know, I just found this car quite difficult to drive. And you could see another big oversteer moment, and yep, there it is. You know, it happened. There's no real good excuse for it to happen, but it did. I was pushing the limits. You could see I was fighting oversteer, understeer in the same corner, and I just clipped the outside curb, and now you can hear the horrible sound. Luckily I had insurance, so I didn't have to clear the damage bill, but I think something unbolted, something happened, and was creating that horrible racket at lower RPMs. In any case, it gave me an opportunity to kind of go full send and catch up with the pack. Yeah, again, missed the apex. I just outbroke myself. Also, another interesting point about this car is that no matter how hard I mashed the brakes, there's no way I could have locked the front wheels up, just because there's no brake boost on this car. There's no like hydraulic brake boost like you would find in normal road cars. So the brake pressure that you put through your foot was the brake pressure that got transferred to the wheels. So very difficult to lock up this car. And here, this is kind of the end of the session. As you can see from the right, there's a checkered flag being waved. And so I know this is the final lap, so I kind of try and give it my full beans as best as I can. And clearly I wasn't the only one, because as you can see, there's There's my fellow fast driver there spinning out. Not the instructor, but someone else. And yeah, final time through the final chicane. Fantastic experience. The total time was around 20 minutes, the session time. So luckily ended up being without any kind of pit stops or anything like that, which again cuts the session time. But yeah, again, the horrible noise that just appeared after my spin, you can hear it quite loud. And yeah, and you can see here the turning radius, not very metropolitan friendly turning radius. Anyways, here there was a guy coming to push me back, but no, I had the reverse gear. I figured that out after I spun. And yeah, neutral, then first, and then back into the garage. Luckily didn't stall the car while I spun. Again, it's that muscle memory kicking in, you know, I hit the clutch as I was spinning to make sure that I don't lose the engine. But yeah, here's Eduardo. Yeah, man, had a blast. And yeah, excited and hungry to see if I can do some more stuff like this.